This broadcast is presented in 4K HDR Ultra High Definition. Presented by Horns and Hooves Entertainment. You are watching Buffalo After Dark.
Hi, welcome to Buffalo After Dark, everybody. It is our season-ending special, which is where we look back at the top 5 moments. And of course, this is Buffalo After Dark host Tom Wujak. I'm happy to be with all of you as we wrap up season 2. There were a lot of changes in the show for this year. One of them is that we actually tended to run shorter. So instead of 3 and 4 hour shows like we used to do, we did cut everything down to an hour. And then at the same time, what we also ended up doing is we wanted to focus more on the sports side of things. And I think for the most part, we did that. And we still had a lot of good laughs along the way. First clip that I want to take a look at was going back to when we had our mock draft. And this is a tradition that we've done every year since we've started the show. And the funny thing that came out of it, our friend, Mr. Bubba Mad himself, Sean O'Malley, drafted James Cook way too high. Let's take a look. Let's see what happens.
With that pick, Sean is once again back on the clock at number 8 with the Atlanta Falcons. Sean, you're back on the clock.
All right. So with the 8th pick in the 2022 NFL mock draft, the Atlanta Falcons will select James Cook, running back, Georgia.
James Cook, huh? Holy shit!
Wow.
So you're bringing a Georgia kid. I kind of find it interesting that you picked a guy that high to go in the top 10. You know what I mean? I think that's really interesting.
Well, almost went for someone else, but nah.
All right, fair enough. So why did you go with Cook though, among the other players available on the board?
Well, me personally, I mean, besides the fact that Georgia is my second favorite team, objectively speaking, though, I've seen the guy play, and I know there were other running backs out there that were better, but I really like the way James Cook played, and I figured, I don't know, why not the Falcons draft a fellow Georgia kid? So,
All right,
but I'm still sticking with this pick regardless.
Fair enough. And then you went back at it again at number 8 with the Atlanta Falcons, and you really reached out here, buddy, at number 8 with James Cook out of Georgia. Surprise, surprise, a potential 3rd round, pick.
Yeah, I think I should have picked another different running back.
They need another wide receiver too.
I should have taken Kenneth Walker out of freaking Michigan State. Dadgummit.
Yeah, it is what it is.
That would have been a lot better.
I think so, but it is what it is. And then
for our number 4 clip of this season, Luffy ended up having some time away from the show because he had some military and work commitments. But there's no doubt when he's around, there's always something fun happening. And anyone who's ever watched this show knows that he does not like Sam Darnold. So without waiting any further, here's our number 4 clip of the year. This is where Adam goes on a long rant about Sam Darnold.
He won. Yeah, Baker Mayfield won in 2017
out of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yep.
Holy crap!
I don't know. I'm anxious to see what he'll do. I know he'll do better than Sam Darnold because
anybody will do better than Sam Darnold.
I swear to God, they could bring back Cam Newton. He would do a better job.
Yeah, supposedly he was going to go to the Browns, but they ended up signing Josh Rosen instead.
Yeah, what a fucking.
Talk about Josh Rosen being a bust.
It's 29-year-old
man.
guy that's been with like 5 different teams, and he hasn't even how does he keep getting signed? That's what I can't figure out.
Maybe because he's nice.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he has a hot mom. Everyone bangs her, I guess.
Okay, Zach Wilson.
Man, to think we almost drafted him, man. Holy crap! I'm glad we
Nothing
didn't.
I can come up with on the top of my head to be like, hey, that's probably a good backup quarterback. No, he's terrible. He's like the worst epitome of. He's worse than Sam Darnold, and that's saying something.
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
I will say though, is there's been a lot of buzz lately about Jimmy Garoppolo though, because while we're on this topic, is supposedly the Giants and the Falcons are the front runners to get Jimmy G.
You know what? You know what I'd do? I'd flip Sam Darnold out right now. Take Jimmy G. I do it in a heartbeat.
You would.
Yeah, fuck yeah, I would.
Or you could just do this. Baker Mayfield for Jimmy Garoppolo.
No, I'll keep Baker and I'll swap out Sam Darnold and a pick for Jimmy G.
Yeah, Seattle is not going to get Jimmy G. I don't think they want to trade him within the division. Unless your name is the Washington Redskins and you get Donovan McNabb.
Don't you love listening to Luffy? Anyways, we have a few more clips that we want to show you before we wrap up. But on our number 3 clip, this goes back to an infamous incident that me and Bobby had when we were down in Long Island a few years ago. And anyone who has followed our show for any period of time, or even before we started Buffalo After Dark, when we were on our former sites, one of the big things that happened is we had primetime seats at the old Nassau Coliseum. And of course, it was the time when we still had Jack Eichel, we still had Coach Phil Housley, and of course, it was Rasmus Dahlin's first season. So what we ended up calling this is the Swedish media incident. And it is just absolutely hilarious how it happens. And it might have been a foreshadow to what happened to Phil Housley. But without further ado, here's our number 3 clip of the season, and this is the Swedish media incident.
That's the picture that started it all. That went viral on Twitter.
Oh,
thanks
man.
to Mike Harrington.
By the way, Sean, have you ever heard that story before?
About the Housley?
With Firehouse? You ever hear that story?
I think you told me about it before.
Maybe. I mean, you want me to tell it again if you like the brief version?
Remind me.
Okay, so what happened was Phil Housley was such a terrible head coach. I think this was the second season, towards the end of the season. And Tom wanted to come, and I invited Tom to come down to Long Island to see the Islanders play at the Coliseum, because this was like right before they left to go play at UBS, or before they got the new land at that time. And they were playing the Sabres, and Jack Eichel was, I think, in his second or third year at that point. And so immediately afterwards, Phil Housley, people were saying, oh, we got to fire Phil Housley. And he was a terrible coach. So what I did was, the night before the game, I went to Office Max or Staples, and I got myself a piece of cardboard with some markers, and I wrote "Fire Housley" on it. So what I did was, and I think that there's a picture of it, is I took that sign during the warm-ups for that game, and I put it up against the glass, and I'm just standing there like this. And all the people that were there were just hysterically laughing. And they were just like,
okay, I remember now. Didn't you guys get kicked out for that?
I didn't get kicked out. They
just confiscated the sign. It was like in the second period.
Yeah.
They detained the sign from us. They didn't kick us out. Luckily, they didn't. Because, I mean,
and then us at the Empire State Building.
And then the funny thing about that too was Mike Harrington saw that, and he's obviously a news writer for the Sabres on the Buffalo News, and he sees it, and he's like, "Oh, look, we have a fan here that has a sign that says Fire Housley," and all of a sudden on Twitter, just a list of comments from people like, fucking asshole, fuck you, go kill yourself.
In fact, that's the picture that they posted, because basically the sign was right there. It was like you were holding it like right up on the glass like this, and you had your like head away.
I didn't want him there, and I'm just like, you know what? A week later, Housley got fired, and I'm like, maybe I was a big reason. And I think some of the Sabres players were commenting.
There it is.
There it is.
Oh boy.
There it is.
That's the tweet that went viral. And then the Swedish media woman, the blonde chick, was talking to you.
Yeah, I think this was when they were trying to interview
It
Rasmus
was-
Dahlin.
Yeah, Darlene's first season.
Fucking hell, dude.
Yeah. Oh man, that went viral for a while.
I want to find that tweet and pin it on my account. I want to do that so bad.
Oh, well, there's a date. 3/30/19 is when it got posted. So
If I could find that tweet, that would be amazing.
right.
And the comments for that were just like astronomical.
Oh yeah. Well, remember we were walking along like in that concourse too, and the Sabres fans either loved it to the point where we were like walking around with the sign, like holding it up in the air, and they either loved it and they wanted to have pictures with you, or they told us to go back to Canada, or saying something else, like swearing at us.
They were like, "Let's go Buffalo," and then it's like, "Shut the fuck up!"
Yeah, it was either one or the other. Seriously.
And when people found out that it was me, I'm like, "You got some serious balls."
Yeah. Oh,
That
that
was
was a fun one, honestly. And
That
it was
was-
hilarious too, because then at the time, I think when we got back, we did podcasts from Long Island, like when I was down there. We did like a little quick trip thing. And then after that, when I got back here to Buffalo, we ended up doing at the time we were running After the Horn all the time. And that was like our post game show. And we actually talked about it during that, and just some of the comments were hilarious.
Yeah, I forget. If we could find that episode, Tom, that would be amazing. If we could,
Oh, I love that old arena. But we still have 2 more clips to go, and this is actually a pretty tough one. But one of the funny parts of the season was in our last episode of the season, and this is when we ended up doing our Horns and Hooves Buffalo After Dark fantasy football draft. And we never thought that Sam Darnold would be making an appearance for a second time in our top 5 funniest moments of the season. But what happened at the last pick of our draft definitely deserved a spot in the top 2. So here's our number 2 funniest clip of the season. And this is when Bobby drafts Sam Darnold, only to cut his ass about 30 seconds later. Have a look. Enjoy it.
All right. And with my last pick to close off the draft.
You better take Tua.
You know how they
Why
tank
does
for
everybody
Tua
want me to
now?
take Tua?
Because you're like so butthurt, like, oh, Tua.
You know what? No, I have a better idea.
Yeah, Tua still can't even believe the fact that they wanted him out of there.
No! No!
Who'd you draft?
Oh no!
Why?
No! What are you doing?
Say who you gave
What
up.
are you doing?
Say who you gave up. Yeah, who were you gonna pick?
I was gonna pick Elijah Moore, and instead I took Sam Darnold.
No.
Oh,
Oh my god.
Dum-dum.
oh man.
That's the best thing I've ever heard. Of. Draft the Sam Darnold. You Bobby to be a fucking idiot.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay, folks, this is what you don't do in drafting. You don't draft Sam Darnold at any point in time.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, and Andy says the draft was rigged.
Yeah, of course it was. Bobby gets
Yeah,
first.
you weren't
every
even
fucking
here.
year.
Ow.
And so, of course, we had some great moments throughout the show, but of course, we have our number 1 clip. And the number 1 clip is usually reserved for what we thought was our absolute best rant of the season, our funniest moment of the season, or something just completely crazy that people didn't expect. So for number 1, we're paying homage to the great Rick Jeanneret, who stepped down this past season after calling his final 20 games for the Buffalo Sabres. Nobody ever thought that Bob would totally talk about how RJ is, for lack of better words, is going to die eventually. And let's just say his take on RJ ended up opening up a hornet's nest, and Andy Van Meer had a field day with it. So for our number one moment of the season, it is our clip called RJ's Gonna Die Eventually. Take a look. And then this actually came out too, so it is Rick Jeannerette's final season. He's only going to call 20 games this season.
That's unfortunate. He's getting up there in age. He's gonna die eventually. So give him What? He's like 78,
Bobby,
79.
you want to get cut, Bobby? You don't talk like that about the fucking great RJ, all right? All right?
I mean,
We're
I
not
love the guy, but the Sabres just keep abusing him in terms of using his
at that
youth.
point right now, okay?
He should have
What he
retired.
wants to do.
He should have
He's
retired
doing what
5
he-
years ago.
He wants to do.
You just said like
Yeah,
the
well,
guy's gonna
guess what? He
die
loves the
eventually.
fucking
What
game.
the fuck?
What? I have everything that I can basically say. It's the
He
truth.
loves the fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bobby, you're gonna fucking die too. What's your fucking point?
Game. When he wants to quit, he'll quit. And this is his. Jesus.
Well, yeah, he's like fucking. Yeah, he's like fucking 80.
He's an absolute announcing god.
The greatest
Give the guy
of his-
fucking
I never
credit.
said he wasn't. I love RJ, but he's way beyond his prime.
Yeah, but I'll tell you though, hell of a career.
Bobby, I'm going to choke you out. You say that again.
Rick Jeanneret should have retired 5 years ago.
Well, guess what? He fucking didn't, and we're all happy he didn't. Now we get to hear him for one last fucking season, you son of a bitch. Take it for granted like that? How dare you talk like that about RJ?
What? I'm not taking it for granted. I mean, if you
Yeah,
had,
you say, oh, he's gonna die. He should have retired 5 years ago.
well, everybody
probably gonna-
dies. I mean, he's pretty much ready to die at some point.
Well, guess what? He ain't going right now. God damn it!
Right, and his first game of the 20 this season is tomorrow night.
Oh
So
God!
enjoy this season and stop being a dick about fucking run.
How many times
Hey,
did you
Bobby.
get?
Treat him with some respect.
Hey, Bobby. By the way, don't watch the fucking game because you don't deserve to watch the game. Go
What do you-
fuck yourself.
I can't have an opinion based off what's going
No,
on.
no, you can't. You can't have a fucking opinion on a legend.
Stop
You
being
can't
a
shit on a legend like that.
Says the guy who hates Sam Darnold. So eat a dick.
Sam Darnold ain't
That sucks.
legend.
What a comparison! What a comparison when you're down and out.
All right.
Oh my God, Bobby!
Yeah, a couple quick things before we go off the air tonight too. Oh man, I remember that clip, and I actually did have a chance to see RJ out in Amherst, New York earlier this year. So I want to say first and foremost, my respect goes out to RJ, and thanks for everything you've done for the Buffalo Sabres, and a lot of great calls over the years, and a lot of fun memories to look back on. As we finish up season 2, I mean, we tried a lot of new things. We ended up, we shortened down our season a little bit, but here we are. And our 100th episode is going to start with the first episode of season 3. So everyone who's had a chance to join us over the last 2 years, we certainly appreciate you watching, and we certainly appreciate you following us. One of the things that we've always strived to do is to not be a fake sportscaster. What we've always tried to do is to give you our takes. We give you our opinions. You can take it or you can leave it, and we say what we think. And one of the rules we've always had on the show is that we're not censoring anybody. Anyone can say anything that they want, even times where we have people call into the show, same thing. You can say what you want to say. We're not going to screen you. We're not going to cut you off. We're not going to dump you or anything like that. Buffalo After Dark is really a show where we can talk about everything, just like a casual sports fan. And at the same time, we give you our opinions on everything, and we'll tell you what we think. And that's the fun part about it. There's no rules and no restrictions on the show. So as we go into season 3, what I do want to say is stand by for some surprises, because there's going to be a couple things changing up. We're going to come up with some new stuff. we actually even have a co-host we're going to introduce to everybody as well. So we're happy to expand our team a little bit. And of course, as always, we're going to be here on your typical Wednesday nights. And we look forward to doing more of these shows. And hopefully we can have a long playoff run to talk about. So with that being said, thanks for joining us all season. We appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you in season 3. I'm Tom Wujak. Take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you next time.
Buffalo After Dark is an H&H Studio production and is produced in partnership with Horns and Hooves Entertainment.